Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Rosie Talks. We are very, 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 very excited today that we have the opportunity to speak with an original Rosie the Riveter, Mae Krier. Mae worked on Boeing planes during the war effort and is currently today switched to making amazing face masks, and we'll share her wider story, but we really want to get the perspective from her and from our girls. So we have Rosie Riveters joining us from the ages of 6.5 to 17, and are excited to ask her their questions and explore her journey. Mae, before we get started, can you just give us in your own words, your own brief kind of introduction to yourself, and then we'll kind of dive in from there?
Yes, my name is Mae Krier. I worked at Boeing during World War II. I built B-17s and B-29s. They're the big bombers. And I'm very happy to do that. I know there's a long story here to tell, but I'm sure the girls are going to want to hear it. I started there when I was 17 years old. I don't know if you can see this picture. Can you see that?
It's great.
I was 17 years old when I started working at Boeing, and many of us were 17, 18 years old, right out of school. And it wasn't unusual at all.
Did it take long to get used to building airplanes?
It took a while. You had to be trained, you know. I was a riveter, and first you become a bucker, which is, you seal that rivet after riveter drives it into the metal. It's a matter of time, a matter of training, but it was a good thing to do. Our country needed us.
How did it feel that men were the only ones allowed to go to war?
Oh, no, we knew at the time it was a man's world. We didn't think too much of it because it was just a job we had to do, whether it was men, women, or whoever. But it made a lot of difference. We did the same job, and the men got more pay. It just was so unfair.
What challenges did you overcome being a Rosie Riveter?
Many, many. A lot of them had to do with who you're working with or what you had to do. But after a while, you just got used to working, and you took great pride in what you were doing because you're helping to save our country and the world. And it was a matter of pride as time went on. And so we overcame any problems we have.
How did you feel about your work when it was finished?
How did I feel about when it was finished? It was assembly line, so we never really seen when we finished a plane. We never seen it completed. We'd seen, I worked on wings, and people worked on the bodies. We'd see them put them together at a distance, but we never seen them till they carried them out on the tarmac or pushed them out on the tarmac. And then we seen the completed plane, and it was really amazing. It made us very proud.
How does it feel to be known as Rosie the Riveter?
Makes me very proud. At the time, we didn't think too much of it. We were just there to save our country. But as the years went on, we found out how great the American women were. Up until 1941, it was a man's world. They didn't know how capable American women were. And we certainly proved what American women can do. And I'm very proud to be called Rosie the Riveter.
How does it feel to kind of be an important part of World War II?
It felt very important, very important. We, there wasn't an Air Force yet when we were building these planes. It was Army Air. And one day, Hap Arnold came in, General Hap Arnold. Now he was in charge of the Air Force. And he walked through, he shook our hands and talked to us. And we were just so proud of that. Now when I go to the Pentagon is everything about Hap Arnold. And they say to me, "You're the only one in here right now that shook out Hap Arnold's hand." And it was a fun time. It was really nice, but that was quite an honor. And so I take a lot of pride in being Rosie the Riveter.
Thank you.
Were there any challenges that you had because you were a woman?
Of course you do. Back then, the men sort of were domineering at the time. And especially like inspectors. Men got fresh with the women at that time, and there's not a whole lot you could do about it. And with the inspectors, if they didn't like what you were doing, one man in particular, he would go after the women. And if you didn't do it, he could make you, if you didn't cooperate with him, he could make you take that rivet out and do it over again because he had that power, which was wrong, but that was a sign of the times.
What happened when the boys got back?
And came home from war. Well, but the women, most of the women got laid off right away. I had gotten married just before the war was over. So when we came home, my husband had a job to come home to. So I actually didn't mind being laid off or being loose, but it was very sad for those who needed the job. They were let go within a day or two after the war was over.
Why did the boys get paid more than the girls?
Well, that was a sign of the times. They figured a man had a family and he needed to earn more money, but that wasn't fair because we did the same job. We did it every bit as good as the men, and yet he got paid more. But that's still true today in a lot of things. Because she's a woman, she doesn't get paid as much as a man, even though she's just as qualified and can do it every bit as good or maybe better. That's something that's got to be corrected, and I think it's being corrected, but taking an awful long time. One of the things I like to tell the girls is, don't worry about making mistakes, because we all make mistakes. You learn more from your mistakes. Follow your dreams. I think so important. If there's something you think you want to do, it's not a man's world anymore. It's yours, and go for it. Don't let anybody say that you can't do it. If it's your dream, follow it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the epitome of we can do it, right? I mean, the true epitome of it. Yes, look at our fantastic Rosie mask. Isn't it great? Doesn't it look like her red headband? She made those. Isn't it amazing?
She did.
All ready to
That's
go.
my Rosie mask.
It's
That's what I'm
fantastic.
making.
So how many masks have you made and given away?
I started with 300. I made 300 before the publicity. And I was just from my friends' family and the people that helped me with the Rosie legacy. And now I guess it's probably up close to 1,000 now, I would imagine. I've lost count, to tell you the truth.
Did you start making them to help people in the neighborhood? Like what, and how did you start distributing them initially?
Well, I travel a lot. I spend a lot of time in Washington. I shouldn't say a lot of time, but we go a lot. And I make Rosie bandanas, and we always pass them out wherever I go. I'm invited to many different affairs, and we always pass out the Rosie bandanas. And so what happens is when the virus started, I switched over to making the mask, and I just started making them for family, friends, neighbors, and I started making them for all the people that help us, keep our Rosie legacy alive. That was my purpose, was to help the virus and cure the virus and keep our legacy alive. That was so important.
So how do you feel about the drastic change between the aviation industry back during the war then to now?
Oh, there's no comparison at all. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed. They took me to Washington, gave me a ride in that big refueling plane. I think it's KC-135. And I can't even imagine. In my wildest dreams, I never imagined that they could refuel a plane in midair. And when I got a ride on that, I was stunned. I mean, there's just it's gone so far. It's just amazing to see what's happened since what we built. Ours weren't jets. Ours were prop planes, and these are all new jets. They're all jets, so it's quite a difference.
So what advice would you give a girl that is looking into building planes and doing aviation?
Well, I'd say just go for it. If that's what you want to do, in most cases you get your training on the job and a thing like that if you want to build planes. The only thing is nowadays I don't know where they're building all the planes and all. I don't see many factories around other than Boeing or the bigger ones. No, but they're mostly commercial planes. I don't really know where they build the fighters now. But it's important that if this is what you want to do, just put your foot in the door and go for it.
Was it hard during the war? Is it like now in the COVID-19 war?
I think sometimes it's much harder today. The living today is so much harder because it's so complicated. Technology has made such change in our world. So it's hard to judge anything from the time that I grew up. Don't forget, that was a lot of years ago.
How does it feel to know that you're helping people, that you helped people then and you're helping people now?
Well, I think it's important that we all help each other, whether it's now or then. And back then, during World War II, we just all pulled together. It wasn't my job or your job. It was our job to save our country. And now we got a lot of conflict. I don't know whether it's good or bad. I mean, in some ways it's good, some ways it's bad. But at that time, we just pulled together to save our country. It was very important.
So, did you ever write like messages on something you worked on, like to the men overseas at war?
Well, we weren't allowed to do that, but when we built the 5,000 B-17, that was May of 1944, and that was since Pearl Harbor, we all got to paint our names on it. And that was called the $5,000. And that was what a thrill that was. We had, it's like a christening a battleship. We had a big ceremony, and it flew 67 missions over Europe, and it with all of our names on it, and was scrapped in the Kingsman Air Force Base in Arizona. And the historian from Boeing sent me a picture of it, and our names were still on it. I said, it's amazing, all those years, and our names are still there. But as far as putting a name on a plane, you weren't allowed to do that. If you did that, that was called sabotage, because it was like they were afraid you were sending a code message to the enemy. So that wasn't allowed at all.
5,000 seems to be a really significant number for you, right? You've got
Right.
5,000 bomber, you've got 5,000 mass, you got
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I feel like it's your lucky number. In
Well,
terms of,
that's when Deb cut it off at 5,000. Maybe she knew something I didn't.
I know, it's pretty, I mean, when I was looking through about the 5,000 plane, that was the immediate thing that came to my head. And I was like, and now she's got 5,000 mass.
Isn't this amazing the way it went, though? I said I did this just to keep our Rosie's legacy alive, and of course to save lives. If it saves one life, one mass saves one life. It's worth every minute that we've spent working on this. But it's absolutely amazing the way the people are responding to it. I just can't get over. Whole country they're sending me material, everything that I need to work with. When it got to be too expensive for me, all I said was, I'd appreciate it if you give me the postage. But the way it is, people are just sending postage, they're sending material, they're sending thread, everything I need to work with. It's absolutely amazing. I think our people are just great. You hear such bad things all the time, and 99% of our people, our American people, are great people.
Absolutely. And to show that your impact, I mean, your impact on the world started at the same age as Ayanna, right? I mean, and even before then, but in terms of actively kind of bettering society through your work and entering a space that maybe wasn't as familiar to you. And the fact that you're still doing that today, I think I speak for all the girls when we just say thank you and you're incredible. And we actively connect in and of ourselves to the we can do it spirit of the Rosies. Our girls rock their headbands.
That's so important.
And arm themselves with that same fiery confidence of spirit. And I wanted to ask about your efforts to have you and all of the other amazing women who joined you as Rosie, the original Rosie the Riveters, to be honored with a Congressional Gold Medal.
I've really worked hard on that, very, very hard. It just wasn't fair that the women weren't recognized after the war. We went to the War Memorial down in Washington, and there was everything about the men. There was one thing in there about Rosie the Riveter. The men will tell you they couldn't have won the war without us. We made everything they needed. We weren't in the trenches, but we built everything, the planes, ships, ammunition, everything they needed to win the war. So it wasn't fair that Rosie didn't get some recognition after the war. So back in the 1980s, I started writing to get Rosie recognized, and I never give up. I'm determined cuss. And I just kept writing. Finally, a newspaper picked up on my story. This is in the early 2000s. And it just snowballed. And now it's just gone everywhere with these masks. 6 countries have been asking us to send masks because we can't do that. But it's just amazing where it's gone. And I'm so happy that, this is really make them realize what American women are capable of and what they can do. That's what these young girls, I speak in schools a lot of times. And that's what I really stress. Follow your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it if you have a dream.
Co-sponsors, right? In the Senate?
We have 40. We need at least 67.
67. So
right.
There's work to be done.
That's right. And you can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it.
You can do
Yeah,
it.
that's right. You can do it.
Well,
Or 5,000. Okay, sure. You could write 5,000 letters. You know, set the same goal of May's lucky 5,000 number. I'll get you right. Maybe
I never put that together till today. It's so important now. The House voted on it in November. We got a unanimous vote for that. It was just absolutely amazing. When we were in Normandy, 5 of us were invited to Normandy for the 75th celebration. And we met we were right up front with all the politicians and all. We came back, we had all of just wonderful the way the House supported us. But we're having such a hard time with the Senate. And now we've got 40, up today we've got 40, but we need at least 67. So please help us get the Senate. We can't get the gold medal unless we get the Senate. And if they please, the bill is S-892, and we need your help. So we appreciate if you would call your senators or talk to any of your officials, ask them to support us.
Yeah, absolutely. And girls, you've all been a part of being inspired by these amazing women. So it's a great opportunity for you to reach out to your senators and to call. I mean, we all have a similar one to call them into this movement to recognize these amazing women and what they've done and what they continue to do for the country.
I want girls to know I've lived through 16 presidents now, and Roosevelt was in his 5th term because of the war. So you see, I've seen a lot of different presidents, different reasons we like or dislike. But isn't it amazing to think that we've seen? And another thing you girls have to remember, my mother only got the right to vote just a few years before I was born. Why did they keep women down so long? Girls, you got to fight for your rights.
Did everybody hear that? Do we all agree? Absolutely.
Right. It's not a man's world anymore, girls.
Not at all. And these girls are all making waves in that space and are all doing incredible things. And we can't wait to see how they impact the world.
And remember, girls, you learn more from making mistakes. Don't stop because you made a mistake, because you learn a whole lot more from making a mistake than you do by doing it right the first time. So just keep going.
Girls, do we have a problem with things that are hard?
No.
No. Is it okay if we don't know the answer the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can we ultimately get to an answer?
Yeah.
And what's the easiest way for us to remember that and be inspired by the women before us? We know? A big old, we can do it!
We can do it.
Do it! Absolutely. Mae, I have goosebumps running up and down my arms from just having the opportunity to have both myself and these girls engage with you. We're literally working every day to inspire them with the same fighting spirit that you have, and can't wait to see their impact on the world, but get to also view it through the amazing things you've done and continue to do. So gratitude is only a small way to express just how unbelievably proud and happy we are to have had this experience to talk with you today. So thank you.
One thing, girls, remember determination. That's an important word, determination. Don't give up. You never know where it's going to lead.
No.
Not at all.
Never know.
I hope that this is the beginning of multiple conversations with incredible women who are the original Rosie the Riveters, and hearing their stories and helping to support all of the things that you're doing to continue to recognize the amazing effort you've made. So thank you so much for your time. We cannot thank you enough. She's just going to keep her We Can Do It arm up the whole day.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Bye.
Follow your dreams.
Bye.